Why do all of these qualitative surveys when you can just do brain imaging and see that someone has mental illness? What's the point of all this? And I really want you to understand that brain imaging for psychiatric illness is so non-specific. And by non-specific, I mean a lot of stuff can cause it. So, for example, these are coronal MRIs of patients with schizophrenia. They're identical twins. One has schizophrenia, the other one doesn't. See these dark spots up here? Those are the ventricles. And see how they're much larger in the patients with schizophrenia? When something is larger in medicine, we use the suffix megaly. So heart is cardio, so cardiomegaly means enlarged heart. This is ventriculomegaly. You might be thinking, oh, Preston, why can't we just do the scan when we see ventriculomegaly on someone we know they have schizophrenia? It's because a lot of stuff can cause ventriculomegaly. Schizophrenia, the dopamine neurons are firing off and it's causing this excitatory inflammation. That damage causes the brain tissue to recede. The ventricles are dilated because it's a bigger open space, but it also houses CSF. So if it gets bigger, it's because maybe water's pushing in there and it's expanding them. See someone with ventriculomegaly, there's a huge differential, which just means a big list of diseases that could cause it. You have to figure out, is it just because the brain's getting smaller or is it because there's water pushing on it? If the water's pushing on it, is it obstructed somewhere? Is it not obstructed somewhere? Is it acquired an issue? Were they born with that? And there's one other problem with using brain imaging for psych illness. Both the pathology and success of mental illness is measured in how you feel personally. So what happens if you do a brain scan and it says someone has schizophrenia and they're not hearing voices and they're like, I feel fine? Do you diagnose them with schizophrenia despite that and assume they must be lying? I think it's a little weird. In multiple sclerosis, there's a syndrome where people have identified MS lesions on a brain scan, but they're not experiencing any symptoms of it. We call that radiologically confined syndrome, and it's kind of a weird conundrum when you treat someone or not treat that. Radiologically confined syndrome has the potential to happen in every single psychiatric diagnosis if we try to rely too much on brain imaging. So for now, the best thing we have is our surveys, because our qualitative clinical assessment is the best way to judge whether someone's not doing well because of their mental state or if they are succeeding. It's how we measure their treatment success, and it's also how we measure treatment failure.